Buddy, it's Kyla at the MJC again, and I'm here to walk you through another section of the stipulation form. This time, we're working on the findings and basis. But before I get started, just let me remind you guys again that nothing in these videos is intended to be legal advice. It's a video, obviously, so we're not able to analyze whether the stipulation is the right form for you to fill out, whether a court will approve your agreement, or whether the agreement you're making is in your own best interest. So if you have questions about any of those things, we would definitely encourage you to sit down with an attorney to talk through what's going on, get that advice, and make sure that this is the right decision for you. Here in Milwaukee County, you can meet with an attorney for free through the Marquette Volunteer Legal Clinics. If you're in another county, we would recommend contacting that county's clerk of court to find out what resources are available to help people who are representing themselves in their own court cases like you are. All right, so now we'll get into the form. So this is the findings and basis. It's the bottom half of the first page of the stipulation. So before, I walked you guys through the caption up top here, and now we're going to go through the findings and basis in this video. A lot of people skip the findings and basis because they say, oh, I don't need to do that. That doesn't apply to my situation. But actually, everybody is supposed to fill this section out. So you'll want to fill it out. Even, this financial stuff, usually you need to fill out even if you're not talking about financial things. So we'll go through the whole section for you here. Our first one, 1A, this bit here, just wants to know what the gross monthly income is for the petitioner. So basically, what is the petitioner's income before any taxes or anything like that are taken out of their check? And so here, you can see from our caption, Jane Doe, and our sample is the petitioner. So I'm going to put what her gross income is here. And in our situation, Jane makes $1,200 per month. And here we're going to put the employer or income source. And Jane receives her income from Social Security Disability, SSDI, not SSDA. So we're just going to put from SSDI because she doesn't have an employer. And in B, we're going to do the same thing for the respondent. We're going to put in their gross monthly income. So again, in our situation, that is John Smith. He makes $2,500 per month, and his employer is Awesome LLC. So that's how you fill in that first section. Here for letter C, it wants to know how many children you and the other parent have together that are under 18 or are 18 years old but still in high school. So how many kids you have again who are under 18 or who are 18 years old but still in high school. So here we're going to put 1 because that is the number of children that John and Jane have together who are, again, under 18 or are 18 but still in high school. And I should note for you, if you and the other parent don't have any kids who are under 18 anymore, so none of your kids are under 18 and none of them are still in high school, then what you can do is you can put 0 here. You don't have to that doesn't have to be a number greater than 0. It could be 0 for you. But again, for John and Jane, it's 1, so I'm going to put 1 in there. The next section wants to know about how health insurance is provided for your children. So in this first one, if your kids' insurance isn't through a private insurer, so if they're on Badger Care or some other state health insurance, or if they're on a federal health insurance of some kind, or any kind of public health insurance, then you're going to check number 1. That is also the one that you would check if for some reason your children don't have health insurance. It's going to be number 1. If your children receive insurance through a private insurer, so if the children are on somebody's insurance through their job, for example, or if the children, you've gotten an insurance policy for them through the healthcare markets or something like that, then you're going to check number 2. And you're going to write in the person who provides that health insurance. So in our situation, the father, that's John Doe, provides health insurance, and the cost of that is $150 per month. So over here, you'll put the cost per, it can be monthly, weekly, bi-weekly, just however that cost is. Typically, we report it per month at the MJC, but if for you it's easier to report it another way, that's fine too. And I should note here, I put father, so I did the relationship John has to the child. You could also put his name here. That's also acceptable. So, looking at the second half of the findings and basis, this section wants to know, essentially, what has changed since your last court order that is making you want to make whatever change it is you've agreed to now. So, when you got your last court order, a court thought that was a good idea. What has changed that makes it so that order doesn't work for you anymore? Here, I'm just going to go through really quickly what they are. A, if a child who is living with one parent is now living with the other parent, you'd have that one. So in our situation, a child who is living with Jane is now living with John. So we would fill it in that way, just like that. So the name of the parent that they were living with and the parent who they live with now. And again, you can put the relationship. So I could have called Jane mother and John father. So that's that first one. B, if you have a child who is no longer eligible for child support because they are over 18 and aren't still in high school, if they are 18 years old, so they're over age 18 and they're not in high school anymore, then you're going to check B. That isn't John and Jane's situation, so I won't check it. But I should note with this section, you can check as many as apply. So if for you A and B are true or what have you, you can check any that are correct in your situation. C is what you'll check if somebody either plans to move or has already moved, and that's why you're wanting to make the change. That's not true in John and Jane's case, so I will skip that one. You can check D if there isn't a placement schedule in your current order and you originally couldn't agree, but now you've come to an agreement, because obviously the stipulation form is used when you agree with the other person. So you have to agree now, but maybe you weren't able to agree before. I'm going to check that one because John and Jane's order currently says that the child is placed primarily with Jane, and it doesn't list a placement schedule for John. It says he can see the child at reasonable times, reasonable notice. So that means they don't have a specific placement schedule. So that's going to be D. E is what you'll check if the availability or cost of health insurance has changed. So if you used to have health insurance, but now you don't, or you didn't have it before and now you do, or if it costs more or less than it used to, that's going to be E. F and G tend to go together. F is what you'll put if somebody's job has changed. So in our situation, John just got his job at Awesome LLC up here. That's a new thing for him. So you're going to indicate, or John and Jane would indicate, that his employment has changed. And if it's just John's job that has changed, we'll write his name here. But if it's both John and Jane whose employment has changed, so say we know that Jane gets SSDI, maybe the last time they had an order she was working. That would mean that both of their jobs have changed, and we would check the both box. Often, if your job changes, your income changes. Hopefully you're making more money. Sometimes, unfortunately, you're making less. So often if you've checked F, you'll check G as well. But if your income has changed and you haven't changed employers, you can still check G. So if I got a raise, I can still check G. Or if my hours got cut and now I'm not making as much money, even though I'm still at the same job, I could also check G. And so that, again, both of them, their income has changed. With this, I would also note that you can check F even if you don't have a job anymore. So if I used to have a job, but now I'm unemployed for some reason, I lost my job or I was laid off or something like that, I can check F, right? Because my employment has changed. Unfortunately, it's changed in a bad way, but it's still changed. H is what you're going to check if the person who was supposed to receive maintenance has remarried. So that will only come up in divorce cases and only will come up if spousal support was ordered in that case. And last but not least, we have this catch-all section, and that section is I. That's where if these don't apply to you or if you want to add something in addition to these, that's where you can put anything that's not listed above. What a lot of people put, and a lot of people for the reason why they're wanting to make this change is just that the parties agree to these changes. So here, that would be all you'd necessarily have to put, that now you agree and you couldn't agree before. But anyway, so you can see John and Jane checked a bunch of them, and that is the findings and basis section. So that's all for this video. In the next set of videos, we'll get into the substance of this form. Hopefully it was helpful. If If you have more questions, if this didn't answer all of your questions, we'd be happy to have you come in and see us at the Milwaukee Justice Center, located in room G9 of the Milwaukee County Courthouse. All right, thanks, and you guys have a good one.